A erudition unit, but with abilities similar to Nihility? Yes, that's ANAXA version 1. To be honest, there were quite a lot of comments about how bad ANAXA V1's performance was. Some dislike him because his personal damage was extremely insignificant, while others hate him because they believe the weakness implant gimmick was not very useful. There was even a time when people said that Jade is 100% going to be replaced in Herta's team. But now, maybe not. So is there still hope for ANAXA? Because in this video I'll be discussing him, so let's take a look and hope together for the changes made to his kit. ANAXA is a limited 5-star character with a wind element. He is a unique erudition unit due to his ability to apply weakness implant, a skill that is typically found in Nihility units. He also has a skill that initially targets a single enemy, but the attack then bounces to up to 5 enemies that haven't already taken damage from this skill. Ideally, this makes him suitable for both AoE and single target situations. With a significant self buff in his traces, he should be viable as either a main DPS or a sub DPS. There has been a slight adjustment to ANAXA's base stats. His base attack has been reduced to 756, but his speed has been increased to 97. Before we dive into changes made to ANAXA's kit, let's first take a look at some testimonials and reviews from one of the beta testers regarding ANAXA's performance in version 1. One tester expressed their frustration with ANAXA's gameplay experience. He simply stated that this character sucks, and what's the point of using him in your party? Because in Herta's team, ANAXA would not replace anyone, or rather, if he did, the results would be insignificant. So what about Hypercarry team? Is that where his true potential lies? Sadly, the tester went as far as to say there is nothing more than a garbage wrapped up in a pretty package. Wow, that alone is painful to hear. So what exactly is wrong with ANAXA? According to the tester, the biggest issue was his low skill multipliers. His bounce type attacks gets weaker the more enemies there are, making it ineffective in large-scale battles. Perhaps ANAXA was always meant to be a support character, which is why the developers gave him such low multipliers. However, despite these drawbacks, ANAXA is still quite viable as a main DPS option. His overall strength is actually comparable to DPS units from the 2.x patch. The only issue is that he requires a high level of investment, needing strong support units like Sunday, Robin, and Huahuas to truly shine. At least that's what Watson League said. But then again, rather than building an entire team around ANAXA, would not it just be better to use a stronger main DPS instead? This is the key concern that the tester raised. What they really hoped for was for the developers to clarify ANAXA's role. Should he be a primary DPS or a support unit? Because right now, he fails to fulfill either role effectively, leading to the ultimate question: why should players even pull for a character like this? And that sums up a brief review from one of the beta testers. Now let's take a look at what changes have been made to his kit. The first major change happened to his skill. Previously, ANAXA would attack a single enemy followed by 4 instances of bounce damage, each dealing 60% of his attack. As mentioned earlier, the main issue with ANAXA was his low multipliers, and his performance worsened when facing multiple enemies. To address this in version 3, a new mechanic has been introduced. For each enemy target available to be attacked on the battlefield when the skill is used, increase the damage dealt by this skill usage by 15%. This means the maximum additional damage bonus that can be gained from this effect is 75%, which is a great way to compensate for his previously weak multipliers. Aside from that, there have also been some adjustments and rewarding to his ultimate. However, there is some bad news. His talent has been nerfed. Originally, when ANAXA was on the battlefield, he would inflict enemies with the exposed nature status when they had 5 weaknesses, increasing his damage by 60%. But in this version, that damage bonus multiplier has been reduced to 40%. Perhaps this nerf was implemented because ANAXA's skill now grants up to a 75% damage bonus. It seems like the developers decided to rebalance his talent to compensate for the buff to his skill. The changes to ANAXA's Eidolon only affected E2, E4, and his final Eidolon. Eidolon 2 originally allowed ANAXA's ultimate to deal 3 additional instances of damage and granted him a 12% speed boost. However, this has now been completely changed. Instead, when enemy enters the battle, the weakness implant effect from his talent will automatically trigger once, reducing the enemy's all-tap rest by 20%. Eidolon 4 has been nerfed. Now whenever ANAXA uses his skill, he will only gain a 30% attack boost for 2 turns. Previously, this buff either lasts longer or had a higher value. As for his final Eidolon, it has received a buff. With this new version, for every instance of sublimation effect triggered by ANAXA in battle, his damage will permanently increase by 10%, stacking up to 3 times. With these changes in mind, the question remains, are ANAXA's Eidolon actually good? And more importantly, is his potential luck behind them? That possibility certainly exists. However, before diving deeper into that, let's address something else first. Should you go for E1 or his signature light cone? The good news is that ANAXA's signature light cone has not undergone changes in this version. Players will still receive 18% crit rate boost and restore 10 energy at the start of each turn. Additionally, this light cone can reduce the enemy's defense by a total of 12%. Looking at ANAXA's role within Herta's team, he needs to offer something that she currently lacks in order to truly valuable. This includes powerful defense ignore, defense reduction, or vulnerability application. However, at E0S0, ANAXA does not provide any of these effects, unless the player either pulls for his signature or Eidolons instead. In my personal opinion, either option is fine. However, it's important to remember that the chances of obtaining light cone are generally higher than pulling a duplicate character. Furthermore, ANAXA's light cone is fairly flexible, meaning it can also be used on other Erudition units such as Jade or even 4-star Herta. And that wraps up the changes made to ANAXA in this update. So what do you think? Has ANAXA become a better unit, or do these changes still feel underwhelming? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more content. And as always, remember to stay healthy, stay happy, and I will see you guys in the next video.